A 45-watt laser that can cut like a 60-watt laser and engrave like a 20-watt laser. Too good to be true? Let's find out. Hey you guys, I'm so excited. Today we will be reviewing the newest laser from WeCreat. This is the WeCreat 45-watt Vision Pro. This is an amazing laser and I'm gonna show you all the testing I did with it. We'll talk about it. I'll tell you what I love the most about it. And also I'm going to tell you the things that I don't love so much. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Now, if you do decide to purchase this machine, please use the affiliate link in the description below. To no extra cost to you, I will be earning a small commission if you do use those links. Now, before I show you around the machine, I want you to know that I did film the unboxing, but I'll be putting that to the end of the video because, well, most people don't enjoy those kind of videos, but if you want to see how it comes packaged or what's in the box, I will put that in the end of the video. But for now, let's look at the material test that I've done, see some projects I've made with this laser, and well, let's get going. When I first put the machine together, well, I shouldn't say put it together because it comes fully assembled. So the first test I've done with this machine was a wooden coaster. This is a bamboo wood, and this is the first engraving that I've done. Now, because I was new to this machine, I didn't know the parameters, but I just used whatever the WeCreat Make It software suggested. So I used their parameters and it seems like it worked really, really well for most of the materials. So that's the first test that I've done. So now that I've started the engraving, looks really, really nice. We decided to do a different engraving and I did this tulip engraving now. This engraving, this is just half of the image. It was, supposed to go double the size, but I stopped the laser just because, well, you get a good idea of what the engraving looks like. I don't need to engrave the whole thing. And, I was too anxious to try other materials, so I stopped it right here. But you can see fantastic engraving, so much detail, and I was so happy with the quality of the engraving. And I think this quality of engraving, it's achieved because this laser has some amazing laser beam technology. So what they did from the original 40-watt Vision, they took that laser and they concentrated into a smaller beam. So now you have 45 watt and just 0.08 millimeter laser beam. And because it is so much more concentrated, that means two things. One, you can cut through thicker materials, and then two, you can get more details into your engravings. So there you go. I would say that is a fantastic engraving. My next testing was engraving on stainless steel. So I just have this little, I don't even know what it is, but the engraving was fantastic. And again, I just used the parameters that they give on their program. The next engraving I did is just this bottle opener. And as you can see, very nice engraving. So I was super happy with this nice, dark, clear engraving. I wanted to see if I can get some colors. So I had this stainless steel. So I did just like a general, just the bulk of it for testing, just to see kind of where the blues are getting in. And then I did a more detailed one to see what kind of colors I get. And I couldn't really get the blue that I wanted. I engraved this butterflies. As you can see, they are very dark, very nice engraving on stainless steel. However, they were not blue, which I was going for. And I do realize that every stainless steel, it's a little bit different. So the colors you will get on this, you might not get on this material. So then I decided to do another test material on the same stainless steel cards that I was making the butterflies. And here is some colors that I did. It's very hard to see because of the reflection. There are some colors. I would say I didn't really nail the colors, especially the blues that I was looking for. So I will need to do more testing on that. The next engraving I did is on this stainless steel black name tag. You can see very nice engraving. So that was kind of playing around with the stainless steel. Then I moved into some leather patches, and here is one of the leather patches. Very clean, very sharp engraving. So even though we're working with 45 watts, definitely engraves the very fine details. So I made that leather patch, and then I did this other leather patch. This is really cool because it's black, but it engraves white. And this one has the 3M sticky on the back, so you can just stick it to whatever you want. And then I had a blue one, and I think the power here, I'm not so sure if the writing was supposed to be light blue or was supposed to be white. Maybe I needed to put more power. Anyway, a really nice engraving. In the material pack they sent, I had this watch band strap, and so I engraved on this one. And it was, to my surprise, it was engraving on rainbow colors, which I thought was very fun. Moving on, I have these bottle openers that I sometimes include with the packages when people order stuff from my website, and I put my name on it, and you can see definitely, I would say this 45 watt laser engraves like a 20 watt laser with a lot of detail. Fantastic engraving, lots of details. So that was my bottle opener engraving. Next, I moved into some stone coasters. So that is one engraving that I did. Super happy with the contrast. Very nice engraving. I put my name on the back. Very small. You can see how small the engraving, yet we have so much detail and very clear engraving. My next engraving was just on a white tile. I wanted to see if you can mark it. Usually you cannot mark these white tiles with a diode laser. So here is a small engraving I did, and I think it ended up beautiful. Absolutely fantastic. Just a white tile, nothing special, and really nice engraving. Now this laser is not supposed to engrave on curved surfaces, but I have these bamboo pens, and I decided to try it because, you know, sometimes things work. And I am happy to report it engraved very nicely, even though it's a curved surface. And I didn't use a rotary tool or anything, just pretty much placed this on the bed of the laser, and we got very nice sharp engraving. Now, when you get the machine, it does come with some pieces of plywood or basswood, and I'm not sure what it was, but it's for camera calibration. Sometimes in the shipping, the camera kind of shifts around and you have to calibrate it to make sure it's accurate. I have not done that. So for me, the camera, I left it the way it was from the packaging, and to test the accuracy of my camera, I decided to engrave on a toothpick, and if I could engrave on a toothpick, that means the camera is really accurate. Well, I tried twice engraving on this toothpick, and even though I was focused right in the middle of the toothpick, when I engraved, it engraved right next to my toothpick, but it did graze on the toothpick, so we do get some part of the engraving on the toothpick, and the other part was engraved on the wood that the toothpick was taped to. So that means, since I was focused right in the middle of the toothpick and it just engraved a little bit on the side, that means the error of the camera on my machine, just out of the box, it's about 1/4 of toothpick. That is good enough for me, so I did not feel I needed to calibrate it. I'm more than happy with this kind of accuracy, so I didn't do anything when it came to that. My next engraving was on plexiglass. So here is a black plexiglass. I did some engraving. I did use, like I said, the parameters that they suggested on their app, and I think for this one particularly, the power was too much. It was really removed a lot of the plexiglass, but still cool. When I review lasers, I pretty much never engrave images because I'm not that great with engraving images. I don't do a lot of engraving, and I never know what kind of settings would work. So, but I did try for this laser, I tried to engrave an image. I took an image from some stock website, and the first time I tried to engrave it, it was completely burning through. It was too much power. So then I reduced the power by 50%, and then this is our engraving. And I think this engraving is fantastic. For a laser with 45 watts, I mean, look at all the detail we get. And I did nothing, just whatever parameters they recommend for engraving of basswood. I took that parameters and half it because the full power is about this dark. So I halved that power and just left it in Jarvis mode. This is just a JPEG image. I didn't do anything to edit the image, to add contrast or anything. Just pretty much engraved it, and this is the result. So that small spot really made a difference, and it gave us a really, really good engraving. And like I said, I have no experience with engraving images. So if I can get this kind of result, imagine those people that have experience with this kind of stuff and they edit the images properly and all that. So that was the engraving. Then I decided to move into the cutting. For the cutting, I did some testing. My first test was just kind of a general cutting test, just kind of to see where it starts to cut. So I noticed that for cutting, I started to cut somewhere before the 42 speed, so between 10 and 42, and then the power pretty much from 30 to 100. So once I saw that, then my next testing for cutting, I changed the parameters. So this time I did it from 10 to 50, and then from 30 to 100, and I got this many squares cut. So now that I knew that the cutting it's in this range, then I adjusted the parameters again to dial it in even better. So this time I had the speed from 10 to 20 and the power from 30 to 100, and you can see how many of the squares got cut. So does it really cut like a 60-watt laser? I'd never had a 60-watt diode laser. I do have the X-Tool 40-watt laser, and I have a 55-watt CO2 laser, and I can tell you it does not cut as good as my CO2 55-watt laser, but that's not comparing apples to apples. CO2 lasers are working differently. They are usually a lot better for cutting than the diode laser. So that's not comparing apples to apples, it's more like apples to oranges. So does it cut better than my 40-watt X-Tool S1 laser? Yes, absolutely cuts a lot better than my S1. And so I say it's probably accurate that it's close to 60 watts. I don't know, but it does cut better, a lot better than my X-Tool 40-watt laser. So once I done all those testing, I decided to make some earrings. So what I did is I took some 3mm plywood, and then I took some fabric, and I'll put a link to these fabrics in the description below. I just bought it on Amazon. You get just, pieces like this, a whole bunch of colors in a small package for like, barely any money. And what I did is I put a layer of Mod Podge on my wood, and then I put the material on top of the plywood, and then I put another layer of Mod Podge on top. Then that just pretty much sticks the fabric to the wood, and Mod Podge, when it dries, it's completely clear. You don't see any glue. You're just pretty much the fabric, but now it's together with the wood. So I did this because I wanted to cut some earrings. So that's what I did. I cut these earrings with the machine. And I wanted to put that fabric just to give it some color. And I did get some charring on the back, and I think if I would do this kind of technique again, what I will do, I will put some blue tape on the back, so then when you can just pull it off and you don't get the charring. So that's what I did for my first cuts, and then I decided, okay, since the material won't work, what if I just make some walnut earrings? So I did this with some scrap pieces of plywood, that is veneer plywood that I had, and I made some really cute earrings, and I think they're fantastic. Let's see if I can show you better here. As you can see, the cuts were there's the earrings, very nice. And if we look at the cuts, we get zero charring here. Very clean, nice cuts. I was super happy with the quality of cut. So now that I pretty much had dialed in the settings for the cutting, I decided to actually make a project. So what I did, I made this beautiful wall art. This is Tree of Life, and it's made from 1/8 inch veneered plywood, different colors. As you can see, I had 5 layers here, and they are glued together. And I cut this with the laser. It did a fantastic job. And super easy. You cut each layer individually, and then you glue them one on top of each other, and there you go, some beautiful art. I was so happy with the way I cut that one. I decided to make one more, and here is a lotus flower. Again, amazing cuts. Beautiful wall art that you can make with your laser to pay for it pretty much in no time. Now, one of my favorite things to do with the laser is inlay, and I make a lot of inlays. There are different techniques of working with inlays. Today, I want to show you how I made this inlay over here. And even though you might know how I did it, I can guarantee you're going to learn something new, because I use a technique that I just recently discovered and works really well. So what I did here, the first thing I did is just made an engraving, and I did a deeper engraving, so I have higher power, lower speed to create the deep engrave, and that will create a pocket. Then to fill that pocket, I used epoxy, and I didn't just use a regular epoxy. If you use regular epoxy, well, it's either too thick and it doesn't go into the groove, and then when you sand it, you have empty pockets. And then if you use the deep pour epoxy, which is a lot thinner, then that will go into your grooves. But the problem is, because it's so thin, it takes like 5 days to cure, and then it seeps into the grain of your wood. It bleeds all over, and it just makes a big mess. So what I used the poly epoxy, and I'll put a link of that in the description below. This epoxy, it's really liquidy, it's like water, so you can put a lot of pigment and stuff. And then the cool thing about it is that it cures in just about 10 to 12 minutes. So after I fill in that engraving, I just had to wait about 10 to 12 minutes, and I was ready to sand it and finish it. So there you go, the whole inlay was done in less than 20 to 30 minutes. Super cool. I'm gonna make a video just on how to do that in the future. Now, looking at the machine, pretty much it looks just like the other WeCreat Vision machines, but the improvement now is that the working area, it's a lot larger. And I made some notes here. The work area for this machine, it's 19.7 by 12.6 inches, and the laser bed is 22.8 by 15.7 the size. For comparison, the original 40-watt WeCreat Vision, the working area is 15.9 by 10.6. So, and this one is 19.7 by 12.6. So really big improvement, a lot more working area with this laser. The biggest improvement, like I said, it is the laser beam, the fact that it's so concentrated, and the laser beam spot, it's just 0.08 by 0.08. That means it's so much more concentrated and focused, and we can cut through thicker materials, and we can engrave with so much more detail. The machine does have an HD camera, and it is very accurate. Mine was straight from the box. The machine does have the auto lifting technology, just like the other WeCreat machines, and that means you do not need a riser base. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. A while back, I reviewed the WeCreat Vision 20-watt machine when it first came out. And this auto lifting technology, I was not a big fan of it. I thought it was just a little bit too slow. When you are focusing on the material, it takes a little time for the, laser module to go over the material, and the machine has to go down to take focus, and then it has to come up. And it's just a little bit slower than any other diode laser machine that I have used. So I was not a big fan of it. However, the thing that I hated the most then became my favorite thing now. And even though it still takes a little bit longer than your normal diode laser machine, I think this feature makes it so much better for other reasons. And also, this is the reason why I just sold my Xtool S1 40 watts machine, and I will be replacing it with this one. Why is that, you might ask? Well, because of this technology of the machine going up and down, now you can engrave different thicknesses without the need of a riser base. And as you saw just in this video, I was able to engrave on very thin material and very thick material. And it was all done without a riser base. My Xtool machine, the Xtool S1, or even my CO2 laser, you cannot engrave thick material like this unless you have a riser base. Now here is something that most people don't know, and they should know it. The WeCreat vision machines, they are Class 1 certified machines. So is my Xtool S1. They are both Class 1 certified, which means it's the safest laser you can get. Class 1 is the safest, Class 4 is the most dangerous. So that means the light is escaping and can really, really hurt your vision. When you use a laser that is Class 1 certified and you put it on a riser base, like my Xtool S1, it becomes a Class 4 certified. It's not fully enclosed anymore. Now you have the doors that you open for the conveyor or whatever you're using. It becomes a Class 4 certified, which means it's not as safe as you thought it would be. And I believe a lot of people do not know this. I see tons of YouTube videos where people use different machines on riser bases and they do not wear safety eye protection. And for me, Xtool sent me a riser base for my S1, and when I saw on the paperwork that it turns it from a Class 1 to a Class 4, I decided not to use it. So that means I'm having a really hard time engraving on thicker material with my Xtool machine. If I want to engrave even just on 3/4 inch material, I have to put my material straight into my crumb tray, which then the laser cannot reach that low, so I have to build a little platform, put different pieces of wood underneath until I get it to the perfect height where the laser can engrave it. So, and that also means I have to take the honeycomb grid out of it. So that's the reason I am going to replace my S1 with this machine, because this machine truly cuts really, really well. It does engrave really well. And my favorite part about it is because of this rising and lowering of the machine to take focus. Now I can engrave any thickness of material with ease, and I don't have to go through all that hassle that I had to with my Xtool. Now, what are my least favorite things about this laser? Because no review is an honest review without talking about the things you don't like. And for me, there are two things that I wish was different on this laser. One of them is the bed in the machine. I wish it had a honeycomb instead of the slots. Let me show you inside of the machine. If you're not familiar with WeCreat laser, you have this slots over here, and we put you down. I much prefer a honeycomb grid. I think the slots are working really well, and they're easier to clean, especially in this machine, because there are two halves, so they fit in your sink and you can clean it very easily. However, the slots does tend to get sticky a lot faster, so you have to clean them more often than you would a honeycomb grid. So I prefer the honeycomb, but that's not something that, you know, I'm not gonna keep the machine because of that. I can always take a different honeycomb grid, which I think I did for cutting the earrings with the fabric. I just put the honeycomb grid right on top of the slots, and that seems to work with no problem. So that is one thing that I'm not very fond of this machine. And then my second thing that I wish they could improve on it, it's the crumb tray. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Now the tray of the crumb tray on this machine is under, and as you can see, the feet are very short. I wish they made the feet a little taller or design differently the tray, because the tray, it doesn't come all the way to the edge of the machine. So in order to pull it out, you kind of have to lift the machine a little bit to get that handle of the tray, and it's just a little bit cumbersome. It's not heavy, the machine is light. So, and now you see I can't get it out. But there you go. Once you get a handle on this tray, it's very easy to pull out and dump and then put it back in. But the same thing to push it all the way in. As you can see right now, it's flush over here. But if we look inside on the back, I don't know if you can see my bench over there. So it needs to be pushed more in. And for that, I have to kind of lift the machine to push the tray all the way in. Not a big deal. Like I said, I'll be keeping this laser for myself to replace my S1. So I obviously really, really like it, and that is not a deal breaker. But I wish they will address that and make it better for the future lasers. One other thing that I think it's worth mentioning is their material test package. I've reviewed 23 lasers over the last 2 years, and this is the best laser material package that I've ever received from a laser company. It has so many really cool, interesting materials like the watch straps, lots of leather patches. My favorite one, which I wanted to do for this video, except that I couldn't really decide what to do with this one. I want to make something really cool. So my favorite one is this valet tray. So it's a leather valet tray. Once you snap these things, it becomes like a tray. And I want to do something cool here in the middle. And I couldn't really come up with a cool design, but I'll think of something and maybe we'll do that in a future video. But really, really cool material package. Like I said, it also came with a rotary tool and a conveyor. I don't think I will ever use the conveyor as I don't do really big projects, but it's nice to have it. So as a conclusion, do I recommend this laser? Yes, absolutely. Obviously, I like it a lot since I'm keeping it for myself. And it's really, really nice. I think it's going to last for a long time. It's going to do a fantastic job at cutting and engraving. It is 45 watts laser, and does it engrave like a 20 watt? Yes, it does. Does it cut like a 60 watt? I don't know, but probably it does seem to cut really, really well and very, very cleanly. And all in all, super happy with the machine, and I think you will be too. Now I already got the laser out of the big box. The big box is over there, and so far this is the laser on this plastic, and then there was a pack of test materials. It's probably the best test material pack I've ever seen. It had like watch bands, it has all kinds of patches, leather patches, it has beer openers, it has slate coasters, it has dog tags, it has a leather valet tray. It has so much material in here, so I'm super, super happy with that. We'll take a closer look at that when we do some projects. On the top of the box, there was the bed. This is the slotted bed that goes into the laser, so I'm gonna put that aside for now. Then we had the crumb tray. I'm gonna put that aside for now too. And then, let's see. We have a large or two large pieces of wood. This is used for camera calibration, and everything is labeled very nicely. I am going to put that aside. And now let's get closer to this laser. I am going to turn it around. Let's see. I think this is the front. Let's see if I can remove this plastic. Oops. All right. That is done. It's held closed with some tapes. So I'm going to take that off. There we go. It has the protective film. Let's take that one off too. Then let's see. It has a camera. We can see right there in the middle of the door. Let's get you a little bit closer if we can. We have a test engraving that came with the laser. I'm pretty sure we can do a better engraving than that. Then we also have some test engraving over there. We have a box here, and let's see if I can get this out. All right. Here it looks like we have our air assist, and I think we have a rotary tool. So that's what's in this box. On this other box we have, everything fits so tightly in there. On here we have all the screws, tools, a screwdriver. I do not know what this is. Then we have the thing that will attach the hose in the back. We have some cables. All right, put that on the side too. Let's see if I remove this foam now. Can I do that? Okay, and nothing in this one. As you can see, we have the 40-watt laser module. More foam. Everything is packed so well. And foam in here. Here is what it's looking like. So that's pretty much what's in the box. Now I am going to finish putting this together, put in the slat bed, and I put the crumb tray. I'm gonna install the air assist. I'm gonna download the app to use this laser, and then we'll get back and get some testing done. I hope this was helpful to you and you learned something new. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Skylar Ewing, and I'll see you in my next video.